Zero Trust is a business cybersecurity strategy for designing and implementing a rigorous set of cybersecurity principles. The sophisticated approach assumes breach and verifies each request as the source is unauthorized. A reliable zero trust model leans on the idea to never trust, always verify, designed to adapt to the challenges of the mobile workforce and protect business assets regardless of location. Cybersecurity experts cannot trust by default and should look to trust by exception. Industry experts recommend simplifying threat detection, response, prevention, and blocking with automation integrated into the systems. Zero Trust is specifically highlighted in a U.S. executive order on cybersecurity. Per Executive Order 14028, the federal government must adopt security best practices, advance toward zero trust architecture, accelerate movement to secure cloud services, including software as a service, infrastructure as a service, and platform as a service. Centralize and streamline access to cybersecurity data to drive analytics for identifying and managing cybersecurity risk. Agencies using cloud technologies should be motivated to allow the federal government to detect, prevent, assess, and remediate cyber incidents. The CISA has modernized cybersecurity programs, services, and capabilities to be fully functional with zero trust cloud computing environments. The Secretary of Homeland Security, acting through the Director of the CISA and the Federal Risk and Authorization Management Program, FedRAMP, developed security principles governing cloud service providers for incorporation into agency modernization efforts. The system design principles, coordinated cybersecurity, and system management strategy are based on knowing threats exist both inside and outside business network boundaries. The zero trust security model removes implicit trust and requires continuous verification through multiple sources of data from a variety of sources in order to verify access. This allows users full access with least privilege principles enforced to perform their jobs. If a business technology resource is compromised, zero trust controls ensure the damage does not spread throughout the network. The zero trust architecture security model assumes breach, so systems limit access to only what is needed and identifies malicious activity quickly. Embedded security monitoring, risk-based access controls, and system security automation are all aspects of the infrastructure used to protect data within the business threat environment. The goal is to prevent unauthorized access to data and services with in-depth access control enforcement. Zero Trust shifts focus from a location-centric to a data-centric approach for security controls between users, systems, and data. This new paradigm may require a change in business cybersecurity philosophy and culture to reap the benefits. CISA Zero Trust Maturity Model is one of the best roadmaps for agencies to reference in the development of a zero trust architecture. The maturity model includes 5 pillars and 3 cross-cutting capabilities based on the foundations of zero trust. There are some basic network requirements necessary to allow business to support the zero trust architecture. Enterprise assets should have basic network connectivity and a local area network to provide routing and infrastructure. The business must be able to distinguish between assets owned or managed by the enterprise and the current security posture determined by enterprise-issued credentials. The enterprise is able to observe all network traffic, record packets seen on the data plane, filter out metadata about the connection to dynamically update policies. Enterprise resources should not be reachable without accessing a policy enforcement point. The data plane and control plane are logically separated. Enterprise assets can reach the PEP component to gain access to resources. The policy enforcement point is the only component that accesses the policy administrator as part of a business flow. Remote enterprise assets should be able to access enterprise resources without needing to traverse enterprise network infrastructure first. The infrastructure used to support the Zero Trust architecture access decision process should be made scalable to account for changes in process load. One of the primary technologies for implementing a Zero Trust strategy is a Zero Trust network access. Similar to virtual private network, ZTNA provides remote access to applications and services. Zero Trust network access connects users only to the resources they have permission to, not the entire network. As a key part of the Secure Access Service Edge model, ZTNA enables companies to deliver secure, low-latency connections. The technology ensures verified cloud workloads are granted access to critical resources and unauthorized services are denied. Zero Trust is an excellent security strategy for modern multi-cloud networks frequently used in business. The security model enforces policies for each individual connection between users, devices, applications, and data. Zero Trust highlights the principle of never trust, always verify, rather than granting implicit trust to all users inside the company network. This helps address cybersecurity risk from remote workers, hybrid cloud services, personally owned devices, and other corporate network vulnerabilities. Legal and regulatory requirements are demanding Zero Trust adoption for compliance and due diligence. Businesses should be evaluating security strategies designed for complex, highly distributed networks to protect business information. Implementing a Zero Trust strategy for business is very complicated and requires far more than installing the hottest Zero Trust product provided by a vendor. Planning and execution across a broad range of functional areas, identity and access policies, security solutions, automation, operations, and network infrastructure is required. Some established Zero Trust models include Forrester's Zero Trust Framework, the NIST Special Publication 800-207, and the CISA Zero Trust Maturity Model. Most Zero Trust strategies share familiar concepts: the 3 principles of Zero Trust, the 5 pillars of Zero Trust, and Zero Trust network access. The 3 principles of Zero Trust involve continuous monitoring and validation, the principle of least privilege, and assumed breach. Network segmentation, monitoring assets, users, devices, and processes across the business, and responding to unusual behavior immediately are effective safeguards. Forget about all the negative things that could potentially happen. Threat actors cannot even view resources they are not authorized to see within the Zero Trust environment. Separating resources and workloads into smaller, more secure zones helps companies contain breaches and prevent lateral movement on the network. Encrypting network traffic and monitoring behavior are key steps in the process. Applications and APIs should not have implicit trust and should command dynamic authorization with continual revalidation for persistent access. Data owners are recommended to categorize data so the business may apply targeted access controls and data security policies to protect proprietary information. Data in transit, in use, or at rest is protected with encryption and dynamic authorization as a cybersecurity best practice. Supply chain security is in demand to grant network access to vendors, contractors, service providers, and other third parties. Cybersecurity experts are aware of hackers using compromised vendor accounts and workloads to crack into business network. In a zero trust environment, if hackers breach a trusted vendor's account, they still cannot access business critical resources. IoT visibility helps prevent hackers from targeting IoT devices to introduce malware to vulnerable network systems. Continuously tracking the location, status, and health of every IoT device across an organization, IoT resources are subject to access controls, authentication, and encrypted communications. The top zero trust solutions in the industry maintain a user-friendly concept in securing business systems. The NIST SP 800-207 standards maximize zero trust coverage across hybrid network implementations to secure and enable people and processes. Automated protection and remediation is utilized to decrease the manpower requirements of the cybersecurity staff. Business leaders appreciate the visibility offered by an administrative dashboard to understand metrics and key indicators while maintaining reputation and profitability.